right, welcome back to another edition of Who You Got with Greg and Jimmy. If it's your first time joining us, do us a favor, hit that like, subscribe button for us after watching. And please remember to follow us on X and Instagram at Who You Got 33. And check out our friends at KC Sports Authority, their YouTube channel, as you'll see some of our content featured over there as well. And they got some great stuff, especially if you are a Kansas City Chiefs fan, Kansas University, all that good stuff out there in the Midwest. All right, Jimmy, big weekend in the UFC. I wanted to start there. We got one of your dogs home, but in the championship match, it looks like it was time for him to get defeated. So what were your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, look, I thought it was great value. I was dead wrong on that one. Khamzat just completely dominated the fight. He had control 21 of the 25 minutes. He had the most strikes of all time. Now, if you look deeper, the significant strikes weren't the most of all time. It was a lot of ground and pound, but he beat him up. I mean, he just dominated the whole thing. He won, I think it was 45. I think it was 50-44 on most cards. Drickus just couldn't do anything. He just didn't have an answer for his ground game. The guy's just elite level grappling. He probably got a title shot earlier. I think he might have had some visa type problems, but he also battled COVID, had a really bad case of COVID for a while that kept him out. But yeah, I mean, just a completely dominant performance. Another interesting piece of this is he hasn't fought a ton of the guys in the top 10. So there's a slew of competitors right now or opponents for him upcoming. Now, he's going to probably dominate the majority of them. But it's not like there isn't anybody in near the top. He hasn't run through the division to get to this point. So there's going to be a lot of people for him to fight. I would say he's probably going to continue to win based on his dominance. Lerone Murphy was winning decision. I almost second-guessed it because I had a parlay earlier with Chase Hooper, and he lost. And I thought to myself, Chase Hooper fights very conservatively to get a check. He wants to continue going, and that can get you beat. In the UFC, it did. I thought the same thing about Lerone Murphy, but I stuck to my guns, made the play. He came through with a spinning elbow to win the fight. I don't know if you caught this, but what was very interesting was it's the first time in UFC history where two spinning elbows finish fights in the same card. And the one that happened previous was Carlos Prates, the fight before that, our boy. 1 second left in the third round. Jeff Neal looked good at the beginning. Prates gets in the fight. He's skinny, he's lanky, so it looks like he gets pushed around a little bit. Jeff Neal got inside on him, but he never looked in control. Prates controlled the second half of the round, and then he threw a forward elbow, and then he just spun and caught him out cold 1 second to go, just walked away on the ground. So I don't know if you caught that or not, but it was fantastic.
I saw the spinning elbow because we had interest in him financially. Once your first half of the parlay blew up, I said, he'll probably get the second half because that's usually how it works. So I came in on the second half. So thank you. It was minus 195 when I bet it. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, he in the post fight, he asked for a fight in Rio. I believe it's in Rio. And he called out, what's his name, the former champ, which would be a really, really good fight. And it's in October. It's like 6-7 weeks away. So I'm very interested. Leon Edwards. I'm very interested to see what the line's going to be on that. I would guess Prates is going to be the favorite, but I'll be heavy, at least heavy for me on Prates if he gets that fight at home in Brazil with the momentum he's got going. And every article I'll leave with this about, because I know I'm a big Carlos Prates fan, and I think you're becoming one as well, as we've been watching along and betting. The fight that he lost to Machado Gary, every write-up I've seen since then says exactly what we said. Like, he was getting him at the end of that fight. If that fight was a little longer, he would have probably got him out of there. So let's go Carlos Prates in October.
All right. And did you want to take 10 seconds to apologize to the fans for your moneyline parlay that I keep telling you not to give out moneyline parlays that don't get us positive money, that just blew up in the first 2 minutes of it?
It did. I took it because it got us to 110, and I really thought Chase Hooper was actually the safer one on that card. He's, like I said, he fights conservative, and he's really, really talented. He's a young guy kind of on the come up, but yep, I was wrong. So yeah, wasn't the best night. I wish I would have just stuck to the two dogs. Would have made money. Lost a little bit because
lost a little.
Better than losing a lot.
Hey, here's a tip: if Jimmy gives out a moneyline parlay in the first leg, loses, come with me on the second leg because he's about 99 out of 100 with the second part of the parlay hitting.
You're absolutely right. I should have done that. I should have jumped all over the second line, just laid the money, and sadly I did not.
All right, PGA. My God, this guy, Scottie Scheffler. My God.
What a shit.
We'll get to him in a sec. We gave out Oberg. He gave us a fun, exciting weekend at 22-1. He was in basically the top three, basically the whole tournament until yesterday. He slid back, finished tied 6. So if you bet him across the board, you lost slightly because you picked up the top 10 at plus 165. So again, he just can't get over that hump this year, Jimmy. I thought he'd make a run yesterday, at least stay in the top 5. We go 2-1, but we just got unlucky with a couple bogeys coming in. I think it was a solid pick, but to what you just alluded to, I mean, did you see the look on Bobby Mack's face when Scottie chipped in? No business chipping. I mean, that had bogey written all over it, and he said, "You know what? I'm just gonna go dunk this for Bird real quick."
Yeah, and I feel like a lot when that happens, most of the time it's like, okay, it's running, it spins back quick, or it's got momentum and it hits the pole. This was the slowest, most dramatic chip, and it felt like it took forever to get in the hole. But what a chip! Yeah, I mean, my God.
Maybe not the most dramatic Tiger Masters.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But yes, I get your point.
In real time, it felt like it took a year.
It was unbelievable. And when you saw it come off the club, it looked like it was right on line. And even the announcers nailed it when they were just like, this might go in. And then it did. And then Bobby Mack's face was just like, what do you say? And then the chants of USA just started firing immediately when it went in. And you know what? I love it. Like I told you, I love Ryder Cup years. But half of that, Bobby Mack brought upon himself when he basically said he wanted to stare Scheffler down and beat him. And he got his wish with a 4-shot lead and pooped all over himself.
Yeah, so, be careful what you wish for.
Be careful what you wish for there, Bobby Mack.
Yeah.
And we'll move on now to Atlanta here for the championship. And it's hard not to like Scheffler again. I will give out a pick later in the week. My other take from the golf was, man, Ricky, my God, people they want to see him do well so bad. And this guy got off to, he was 5 under, I believe, at one point, and then just threw up on himself coming home, double, then bogeyed again, finished 1 under for the day, and just out of the top 30 to make it to Atlanta. It sucks, because this guy, I mean, you just want to see him do well, and he just can't get over that hump anymore, Jimmy.
Yeah, he's right. He's always right there. He brought it up on the last show that he was still in it. And yeah, I don't know why I want to see him there as well, but it feels like he's, sort of regressed a little bit but who knows? I mean, said golf's a mental game. It's too bad we're not going to see him in the playoff, but what are you going to do? He's rich.
No.
Yeah. He plays a game for fun. Hopefully he gets over the hump and we get to see him far deeper into the year next year.
Yeah. I mean, he's got more money from Puma than we could ever dream of seeing. So you've won at life. It's just, it would be nice to see you on like a Ryder Cup team. And spoiler, he's not going to make it, Jimmy. All right. You brought this up off air, so I'm going to give you your soapbox here. The Mets have turned it around, kind of. They're not completely dead. Do you think they're turning a corner? Do you think we're going to get back on track? I like that they took 2 out of 3 from a good Seattle team. Do you see this team just kind of moving back up the wild card ranks and we won't have to worry about them, say, 2 weeks to go in the season? Or do you think it's going to be a dogfight to the end?
I think it's going to be a dogfight to the end because I don't know that they've turned it around yet. But they haven't completely caved in, right? And when I think about what we've talked about, it's kind of a game of runs, right? You can have a bad moment in baseball because there's so many games, but it's tough to overcome too. And they had 2 times a season where they basically were on 10-game losing streaks. So I think it just depends on what happens at the end of the season, who's hot, because look again to our comments, like it's not like they're not scoring runs. They can't stop anybody. So if the pitchers can hold it together enough, I mean, these losses, 9 runs, 6 runs, right? 6 runs, 4 runs. There's no shutouts in here. So I have full confidence in their bats. So if they can get there, I still think it actually plays better for teams that go in only relying on the home run ball and then fall apart and go into a slump. The issue is, like, is their pitching going to be able to hold the other team under 5 runs?
That was going to be my follow-up question. That's a great theory, but do you think the pitching is actually that dominant that you can go into the playoffs with that type of strategy? Or do you think you're in just as much trouble, too, where you're going to have to outslug somebody?
I think they're in trouble if they get into the playoffs. I think because they're going to have to outslug somebody and they're going to face the best. They're going to face great pitching, and they don't have it, and they're not going to miraculously get good at the end of the year. If they can somehow, I mean, they already have a really short leash on their starters. Maybe in a series, if they can get a hot hand, if they can really mix up their bullpen, which also isn't great, and the bats continue to hit, they'll be okay. But it's like, it's not that this dramatic, but it feels like they're the Bengals of Major League Baseball. Like they can't stop anybody. They're going to have to outscore you, and I don't think that works real well when you hit the playoffs. But that's why I think it'll be a dogfight to the end. I do think they'll get in, but I don't think they're going to run away. I mean, I think it's going to be close to the last second.
They're minus 370 right now. That's what I was looking up while you were talking. Minus 370 to make the playoffs. So still a lot of belief that they are going to get in. I think it's that last team in the NL here to see who could the Reds sneak in. I think to your point, that's kind of where we're at. But you look at the numbers, it says the betting public really thinks the Mets are getting in. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, the Mets have been, when the Mets are good, I think they're the better team. Cincinnati has been solid all year long, and the Mets have kind of faltered. So I think it's probably as much of an indictment on the Reds as it is confidence in the Mets. But after that, I wouldn't be too worried. I don't think the Cardinals or the Giants are going to make a run late. I think it comes down to the Mets and the Reds. And look, there's a chance. I don't think it's going to happen. But there's a chance San Diego continues their losing streak and comes back down to earth too. So, they're only 3 games back of San Diego. I would say that that's the clear path there. There's no way they're making up 5 on Philly at this point. So, but I've heard some interesting stuff about the Yankees too, not to change to the Yankees, but the Yankees have an unbelievably friendly schedule the rest of the way. And when they play the Twins, which they played, and I think they have them again for a series, they just had them. Like, they beat the Twins like 31 out of 35 times when the Twins have a good team. And the Twins traded away like 10 of their 26 players. Nobody knows anybody that plays on the Twins. I mean, there's some, but so the Yankees have a very, very favorable schedule down the line, which does, for at least the New York teams, bode well, though I don't care because I'd like to see them miss the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking that up too while you were talking about the Yankees. That's where I was going to go next. They're just kind of like the Mets. They're plus 370 to come back and win the division, where the Mets were plus 450 to overtake the Phillies. But the Yanks are minus 1,100 to make the playoffs. So I think the hope that they were going to miss it and us saying, hey, take a flyer on them, plus 600 to miss the playoffs a few weeks ago, they're probably going to make the playoffs, unfortunately. So I'm with you. If I had to right now make a prediction, I'll say that both New York teams get in, but neither of them make the championship series.
I think it's fair. I think it's probably a pretty fair assessment. And what the Yankees have going for them, it's Boston and Seattle only half a game ahead of them, and Cleveland's 3.5 back. But if you wanted to put Cleveland and even KC in that picture, I would say the Yankees will probably be one of those 3 teams that make it. Again, their strength of schedule coming up just really plays in their favor.
All right, you brought it up because you said Cleveland. I got to tell you, I ran into it this weekend where it was on and I just couldn't turn the channel. Bro, Major League still holds up. I know it's 1 of 7 movies you've seen in your lifetime, so I thought I'd just let you get that win. That it still holds up, bro.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's a great movie.
I mean, my favorite line might be, believe it or not, when she's giving him the list of who they're inviting to camp, and the guy's like, "This guy's dead." She's like, "Well, cross him off then."
It's a fantastic movie. There's only a couple of movies when they come on, no matter, even if it's on regular TV, I kind of get stuck watching. That's one of them. The other one has nothing to do with sports, but My Cousin Vinny. Every time My Cousin Vinny.
Oh yeah, it holds up 100%.
I can't not watch it.
I mean, I was just like, wow, I can't believe I can't turn the channel. This movie still is just fantastic.
The second one's terrible in comparison, and I watch it just because of the first one.
I agree. Yeah, just to see what happens to those guys.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. Back to baseball news. I don't know if you saw, but your top competition here, the Phillies. Terrible news for Wheeler. We don't know how long he might be out. Blood clot up in the shoulder. So lucky they caught it, thank God. But could this be a season ender?
I mean, if it doesn't get fixed, I mean, the last high profile, I know it's probably been others, but Damian Lillard had the issue in the playoffs. That's the last high profile athlete I remember dealing with this, and he was able to make it back. But when isn't flying problematic when you have blood clots?
Yeah, I believe it is. Wait, what put the dude from the Spurs out?
Blood clots.
Yeah, it was blood clots,
yeah,
right?
Wemby, yeah.
He was out for the year because of it.
He was. He's got his own set of problems though, being 7'7" and 120 pounds soaking wet and right and everything he's got. But yes, it did. And I don't know if they were just being extra cautious with him because he's so young and he's got such a future, right? Whereas if it was he was 29 years old, their best player, and they had a chance to win it all, that he could have played through it. I'm not sure, but yeah, I mean, whenever this happens, they keep a close eye on it because this could be deadly. So yeah, this could be very, very problematic for them.
Yeah, the reason I bring it up is for anyone looking to bet the Phillies, just keep an eye on that news, because if he is not going to be around for the postseason, that severely hurts their chances in that rotation, because he is a dominant. You can basically chalk him up for 2 wins in every series. You're going to probably win those games if you score 3 runs. And the Phillies offense isn't going to have a problem scoring 3 runs.
Well, for his sake, I hope he gets back.
So last one on baseball I want your opinion on is the Brew Crew. I mean, this team doesn't plan on losing maybe ever again. But my question, did they get hot at the wrong time, or are they just this good?
I don't know because I don't watch them in depth. I keep up with the scores, but I haven't watched a ton of Brewers baseball. I think if they are peaking at the wrong time, it's only slightly early, right?
Okay.
Because we're heading to the time of year where you want to be hot. If they were getting hot right this second, it would be good. But no, I think they could be the real deal. Look, I do love it when a small market team like the Brewers are good. Like it's just good. It's good for baseball. It's good for sport. They always say baseball is hyper local and it does better in these big markets. And this isn't a shot at Milwaukee, but like I would think it'd be more prevalent in Milwaukee. Like there's not as much to do, right? Like
I
why
think
would you?
I think Bob Euchre's out there fucking around and just
Bob Uecker's
the ghost of Bob Euchre's playing games.
Field of Dreams in Milwaukee right now.
Yeah, you got Angels in the outfield in Milwaukee with Euchre. I just think it'd be a great story if they win it for Euchre this year. Commemorate him. 8-1 right now to win the World Series. I got to tell you, if I'm betting anyone right now to win the World Series, it's neither of the 2 favorites. I'm not taking the Dodgers at plus 360. I don't like the Phillies at 6.5 to 1, but I do like the next flight, and that is the Brewers 8-1 and the Tigers 8.5 to 1. And when we get it out there, I don't know if it's out there yet, I'm going to look at what a Brewers Tigers World Series would pay, and I might be betting that. I don't think combinations are out yet, though.
Yeah, the Brewers have something we talk about, the highest run differential, and it's not really all that close, right? From them to second, there's only 2 teams in the entire major league in the triple digits, and they're at 161. So they're not only winning, they're winning in impressive fashion. So yeah, could be. I like that bet. I would not bet the Dodgers either at this point. I mean, I think when we were talking about this early in the season, it seemed like with the money they spent and the way they built their team, they were destined. I still think that could happen. They know they talked about limiting Ohtani to like 80, like an 80, roughly 80 pitches on it, like as far as the pitch count goes for the rest of the regular season. But I don't know if they even really need to pitch him to get to the playoffs, and then you could have him throw. Other than the fact that he needs some real game practice. But yeah, it would be, Milwaukee's a team I can get behind.
Yeah. Anyone out there, please email us. Who you got 33? If your book has a line, I'd love to know what the odds are right now on a Tigers Brewers World Series, because I would definitely endorse a ticket on it. All right. Let's change subjects. We brought it up last week, so I want to follow back up. I was going to lead with this, and it completely slipped my mind. Did you see some of the Taylor Swift interview? Because I thought
I got the highlights.
It was fantastic. She is a great. I know it's probably comfortable because she's talking to her boyfriend and future brother-in-law, but Jason does a great job running the interview, and she was like, I couldn't turn it off. I was like, God, she's normal and interesting, and it was a great interview.
Yeah, I get the feeling that she probably wouldn't get nervous. Very few settings would make Taylor Swift nervous with her popularity and the tour she's been on. But no, yeah, she's smart. You know, like I said, I'll continue to. The interview was solid. I didn't watch it from start to finish, but I caught all the highlights. I thought it was super cool that she announced her new album on his podcast. Like, talk about doing him a solid.
Yeah, no kidding. It was the most watched podcast of all time.
Yeah. I mean, holy shit. So yeah, good for them. She seems to be, as she learned about football, taking it pretty seriously. And now the Chiefs will forever have this following of female fans that they never had before. It's really unbelievable. It's her ability to move the market, no matter what she decides to get behind, is just impressive.
No, I'm telling you, she came off smart. She came off funny. And the fact that she can talk about cover 2, impressive.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, good for her. And she is, like I said, she does whatever she wants. She's successful at it. So God bless her.
Yep. No,
I
good.
can't hate when people hate on things, especially as we get older. Like nobody, you're not cool anymore. Like nobody gives a shit what you think is cool. Your opinion doesn't matter. Our opinions don't matter. So like I don't understand all the teardowns of not just Taylor Swift but certain people. Like what do you give a shit? Like if you don't like it, just don't say anything. Like I have no like, when I was 19 years old, I wouldn't have said I like Taylor Swift. I can admit now that I like some Taylor Swift tunes.
I do
I
too.
told you before. She's an unbelievable writer. She writes great music. It's popular for a reason, and she seems, by all accounts, to be really cool. So good for her.
Yeah, two arguments you're never going to win right now in the current state of the world. One, Taylor Swift's not good, and two, the NFL is not popular.
Right.
Because yeah, you're just going to lose. The NFL is the most popular sport, and she's the most popular celebrity. There you go. And now they've married each other. So congratulations. What a win.
Yeah, Taylor, Major League Lacrosse really needed you to back that instead.
It's a good point. Yeah, I know.
They didn't football. Now you guys just combined a powerhouse here.
All right. Well, it happened again, Jimmy. I don't know if you saw the Giants preseason game. I know you were tied up a little bit this weekend, but
No, but I'm actually going to the game on Thursday.
oh, look at you. I don't know if you'll see him there because the last game of the preseason, they like to play this game called Let's Not Play Anyone. So Jackson Dart, though, again, looked like the better QB versus Russell Wilson. I'm going to say it again. When do we see Jackson Dart? Because it's starting to feel to me we might see him week 2.
Well, let's go back to this guy. You could be right.
He looks great.
You could be right. And I didn't get to see the whole thing. I was traveling this weekend. I caught all the highlights I could and obviously kept up with the Browns. Watched a little bit of the Jacksonville game yesterday. Wish I could have that time of my life back.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, but
I like how the Saints decided to put one good drive together at the very end and say, hey, we'll take a tie.
yeah, that was tough to watch. I just got done watching the special with Ryan Clark about Hurricane Katrina, and then the Saints preseason games coming on. I'm like, all right, I'll check it out. I'm like, nope, shouldn't have done that. Yeah, he is going to start. And my point was, if I didn't watch it, it didn't matter because all of my friends who are Giants fans are hammering me with comments about how they don't necessarily agree. They're being very nice about it. My friends can be a lot more ruthless, but they're being very nice about how we are wrong about the NFC East and how the Giants win total. So they go through this whole diatribe with me, only at the end to say, "But I'm a fan, so I'm kind of a homer. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong."
Yeah. Here's what I'll say back to all your friends. You're welcome to come on the show. Please email us. We can have this debate in live time. All I'm going to say to you is this. Did you see your schedule? Okay. Now back to the show. All right. Russell Wilson, 4 for 7, 108 through an INT. Jackson Dart, 14 of 16 for 137, a passing TD, and he ran one in for the cherry on top.
Yeah, I think week 5, I think he goes to New Orleans and starts instead of throwing. They've got 2 games on the road. Then they're at home to the Chiefs, and then they're at home to the Chargers. I think they go on the road week 5 against the Saints. That's when Jackson Dart starts. Look, there's a chance he starts week 1.
There is. No, they'll throw Russ out there for week 1. Let's see how week 1 goes. If it doesn't go well, I would not be shocked if he's starting week 2 at the Cowboys before they get the Chiefs and Chargers at home.
Could be. I mean, look, to my friends out there that were texting me, they do make a good argument is that look, the defense is going to be really good and it's going to keep them in games. And I think we agree that the defense is going to be pretty good. So if Russell Wilson can play reasonably mistake-free football and not lose them games, and Malik Neighbors is dealing with a little injury too. But if Russell Wilson cannot and they're playing well, I think it keeps going. The problem is I don't think either of us think it will. I think best case scenario after week 4, they're 1-3, and that's best case scenario. So yeah, I think you're going to see Jackson Dart come in for Saints. And to your credit, you've been loving Jackson Dart for the last year since we started this podcast. You've loved Jackson Dart. So.
I mean, I was all over him. Well, in the old Miss days, he's one of the best. He was one of the best in college. But here's the thing, and it's a great thought by your friends. You're going to Washington. Jaden Daniels can put a 30 spot up on you. You're not the Ravens. You're not the Ravens from 2000. Let's just be honest with you. You're not Tampa. You're an okay defense. You're probably a top 10 defense. The Commanders are going to put points up on you. CeeDee Lamb is the best player on the field when he's playing. He's going to put points up on you. The Chiefs are going to put points up on you. The Chargers are going to run all over you. Then the Saints, you'll dominate. But then the Eagles will come in and put points up on you. The Broncos and you could play to a 3-3 tie for all I care. The Niners will put points up if everyone's healthy. The Lions will put up a 60 spot on you. The Packers will probably put points up on you. You could be all right against the Patriots. The Commanders will put points up on you again. And by the time we get to December 21st, the JJs will be in full stride. Look for a 45 burger from the Vikings on you. And the Cowboys will destroy you the last week in a meaningless football game. So you can tell me about your defense all you want, but with a losing record, it's not going to matter much, and especially against that schedule. Write it down now. Giants under, maybe 4 wins. Good luck, boys. Thank you.
And your attitude doesn't change if Jackson Dart gets in week 5.
Oh, no. If Jackson Dart is playing, I want to see how he does, because I think he can produce points with Neighbors, and maybe they stay in more games. You're not scoring with Russell Wilson. Look, if Jackson Dart is in early in the year and I had a under 5.5 ticket, I might be a little nervous. If Russ goes 1-3 and then Jackson just has to come in and win 5, I might get a little nervous. But again, look at the schedule, Jimmy. Look at the schedule.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I think the bigger question is, and I'm not advocating for this to happen, but what week does Brian Daboll get fired? Does he make it through the season?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. The excuses have to be over for this guy.
Now, do they go hand in hand, though? I will continue on your thought, but does Joe Shane have to? If Jackson Dart comes in and plays really, really well, and it looks like they have a good draft class here, does Joe Shane keep his job and Brian Daboll goes?
Exactly. You put a new head coach in with that quarterback, and away we go. Maybe you see John Gruden here next year.
Possible. He's got a hell of a lawsuit going right now.
Yeah, that's true. All right, I was watching the Bills game last night against the Bears as the Bears smoked them 38-0. And what are your thoughts here when you see some teams say, you know what, we want these guys to play in game, let's get them out there for a quarter, maybe a quarter and a half, and then you see coaches who say, yeah, we don't care, and not really play the regulars. Like last night, Josh Allen hasn't taken a snap. He's not going to take a snap this week, I'm sure, because it's preseason week 3. I hate that. I think the Bengals have proven that's not the best move. And I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. I thought, you rolled Josh out there for 2-3 drives last night. Let him get in some game action. I know they're going to say, well, they have the practices. They're just as intense, but it's not the same to me.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm sure they won't, but maybe they roll them out in game 3, because some teams do treat game 3 still like it's the warm-up for the preseason now that there's only 3 instead of 4. So you might see some starters out there in game 3. But yeah, I think you need that. I mean, the Bengals, sure. And it worked, so it's really tough to say no. But the Patriots used to do this too. The Patriots you'd be in September and they'd be 1-2 going to week 4. You'd be like, this is the year they fall apart, and then they win the Super Bowl. Because they treated September like their preseason. The difference is they could overcome it. They had a solid, even their years that their defense wasn't stellar, it was still good. They had the best coach. They had Tom Brady playing quarterback. You don't have that luxury from most of the other teams. Now, the Bills, maybe I'm okay with, because the division they play in, if they start off the year 2-2, they can still win that division with little problem, and they didn't risk injuring anybody. But overall, no, I think you need to get out there and start to get in some sort of rhythm, even if it's a vanilla type defense.
Fair enough. All right. One last NFL thing before we move on to college. So I got cursed in 2 drafts this week, and I'll say cursed because I brought it up on this show before. I think the number 1 pick this year is just like, God, what do I do? And I got it. And I got to tell you, I went back and forth, and I took Bijan over Jamar in both. If you get saddled with the 1 in one of your upcoming drafts, what are you going to do? Are you going Bijan, going running back, or are you going Jamar Chase? Now, I'll say this while you think about it. I think Bijan, and you can go bet this at a lot of places for double digits, I think Bijan's going to win Offensive Player of the Year this year.
Look, it's a really tough one. I would probably go Bijan, only because there's not as many running backs as there are receivers. I know I can get a receiver later, even though there's only, well, you could say there's not a big fall off to Justin Jefferson, but obviously you're not going to, that's off the table, so it doesn't matter, right? But I would probably go that route to lock it up. The only problem is, I do feel like, barring injury, Jamar Chase is probably the lock of the draft. So it's tough. I'll pass it back to you. I'll ask you this question, because we've listened to a number of fantasy experts over the years, and we still do. But I always went with the theory that it doesn't matter who you have in your other draft. If that's the best player, draft him. But now I'm hearing people with 10 plus leagues say, no, diversify your draft, right? So I don't know which one I feel better about. I still think go with the best player. Sure, you're going to have them in a couple leagues, but it is what, if they're clearly the player to choose, don't hamper this team because eventually you're going to get a team that's kind of meshed with like not the right personnel. So what's your take on that? You take best available, or I have them in another league, so I'm not going to take them in this league.
It depends how many leagues you're playing in. With you're talking to someone who's in a ton of best ball leagues at DraftKings. Yeah, I look at shares and I try to spread out a little bit because I have some shares of Jamar Chase. But when I'm in a higher entry fee league, that's when I really start thinking it out, and that's what this one is. And for me, it was I gotta go. I gotta go with Bijan in a couple of these leagues. I just can't keep rolling the dice with Jamar.
Yeah, look, it's a good problem to have, right? When you have the number one pick, it seems like it can be a burden at times, but at the end of the day, it's only a burden because we're scared we're going to make the wrong decision. There's no wrong decision. If you draft Bijan, if you draft Jamar Chase, right now the season hasn't started. You couldn't. If anybody tries to give anybody shit about taking one of those two players after the season because one got hurt or one with all the information we have right now, you're not wrong, right? At this time, it's not the wrong decision. If Derrick Henry ends up like turning back the hands of time and runs for 2,500 yards, and you still made the right decision drafting Bijan Robinson, right? Nobody could have predicted that. This isn't the lottery.
My take on Jamar is this: he had such a good season last year. He went 127 for 1,700 and 17 TDs. He averaged in a PPR league. He averaged almost 25 points a game. To do that 2 years in a row would be unreal. Where you drop to running back one right now, Bijan. Bijan still averaged 21 points last year, and he got 15 TDs. I don't see his TDs dropping off. Where Chase, if Higgins stays healthy and he's happy now that he got paid, my strategy has been I've been grabbing Bijan, and then at the end of round 2, I'm grabbing Higgins to get a piece of that Cincy offense because I think Higgins could put up 20 a game as well.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly could balance out. I mean, the same argument is the argument we made about Saquon, right? Is Saquon really going to do that again? I think there's a better chance the receiver does it again than a running back with the punishment that they take, or just how much he'll be keyed on. But I like your thought process, and we've talked about. I mean, Higgins has got it. Who's a better number two on a team after Higgins in the league?
I think he's by far the best number 2 receiver. I mean, I guess people are going to throw out Pickens maybe now because Pickens was a solid one, and now he's on the other side of Lamb, which means he's going to probably get softer coverage a lot.
Yeah, if he shows up, and then you could argue. I don't know who you're arguing the number 2 is, but Puka Nacua or Devontae Adams.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But that's it. I mean, I can't think. I mean, I'm sure we're forgetting someone, and somebody can happily text or email us who we're forgetting about. But I can't think of anybody outside of those two. And I would take Higgins over them. Again, we've been saying this. It's not an original thought at this point. Every outlet is talking about how many points they're gonna have to score. So they're gonna score points. So assuming he's healthy, assuming like they're gonna
Are you
be
saying
like,
the Bengals D is not good?
I know it's weird. It's odd. And Trey Hendrickson's still not signed, so it's just getting worse. It's not getting better.
Yeah, you can kiss week 1 probably goodbye for him at this point.
I'm starting to worry they're not going to make the playoffs, man. I know we picked them to win the division. I don't know. The preseason means nothing, but they looked awesome on offense, and they just look so bad.
Line is still holding 5.5 steady. Bengals 5.5. So maybe they expect them to get out there and play. But hey, we'll leave you with this. We will have official NFL futures in a couple of weeks where we lock our picks in as we go into the regular season.
But all right. Full circle though, what Greg said. In my drafts, I'm doing exactly what you're talking about. I know I have two. I have a big money league and then just a regular money league. And I know the big money we're drafting 8th and it's a keeper. If Higgins isn't out there on the keeper list, which I haven't saw yet, and I don't believe he is, I think he's past keeper eligibility. I'm going to take a look at where he's at, and I'm going to try to get him at that point because at 8, there's not too soon. Yeah, but on the wrap, I'm not scared of it.
All right. With the previews in mind, we're going to get to the SEC today and give you our thoughts on the SEC. But before we do that, Jimmy, we took some feedback on YouTube and email about some of our takes. Ohio State fans really vocal online.
No
One of
kidding.
one of the comments was YouTube gives too many people platforms, and these two idiots don't know what they're talking about. That was one. Another one was the best thing about these guys is the Blanton's bottle in the background, and I'll tell you this: look, the good news is it doesn't get drank. Jimmy just leaves it there, so he says he has one, so it'll always be there. Yeah. Here's what I'll tell you, Ohio State fans: but go buy some Blantons because you're going to need it. Because you're going to be the third best team in the league this year. And I can't wait till Texas goes in there and shoves those horns right up your ass and you're 0-1 after week one. Then you can write all the comments you want on my week one predictions because I can tell you right now, it's going to be Arch Manning runs all over you. It kicks you right in the dick and shows you that you're not even a top 5 team this year. Penn State is better. I hope Michigan is better just because I'm a Michigan fan. Your team is not winning the national championship, and Penn State is going to poop right on you. How do you like that? And you can leave more comments because your team sucks, and you're lucky you got the Natty last year. Your coach sucks too. That's all I have to say about Ohio State. On to the SEC, Jimmy.
Hey, I couldn't have said any better, so I won't add anything.
SEC. Whew. This league, as always, top heavy and loaded. God, I don't even know. Can you even call it top heavy at this point? It's like top 75% heavy.
Yeah, I mean, you can really move down through. Yeah, 60-70% of this, and they're all like legit teams that are going to end up with a positive record this year.
Yeah, I mean, Christ, the win total for Arkansas and Vandy is still 5.5, and they're looking to have down years. I guess it's an up year for Vandy, although Vandy was kind of the darling last year after that Bama win.
Yeah.
All right, let's start right there. Why wait? Bama. Projected third in this conference. 15 starters back, 7 offense, 8 defense. They're going to come right out of the gate as a big favorite against Florida State. They were 9-4 last year, 7-6 against the spread. What do you make of the Crimson Tide this year? Are you buying in on them, or you think it'll be another year where maybe they just don't get into the playoffs?
I mean, doesn't it come down to Kalen DeBoer? I mean, when what's it? Nick was there. You just knew they were going to figure it out somehow. They were going to, at the end of the year, they were going to be, and you knew if there was any way they could shoehorn Alabama into the playoffs, they were going to do it somehow, right?
Yep.
If it was close with another team, it wasn't questions that Alabama was going to end. Yeah, I mean, I think this is the year that's going to tell us is like, did this coaching change really break this team, or is it just business as usual? And Alabama's created such a legacy and a name for themselves that they're going to be fine. They're also, of course, not to go down too much of a rabbit hole. Saban didn't really have to deal with the transfer portal, so who knows what that would have looked like if it was as
great point,
right? If it was as relevant, but I'm not going to bet against them. I'm not going to bet it. They've got a lot of the team coming back. I think that people, I think they're going to be okay. It is like you said, when we can start breaking down their schedule.
Yeah, they're minus 200 to make the playoff. Their win total is over 9.5, and yeah, I mean, they get Florida State, probably a win. They're going to run through those first 3 games, in my opinion. At Georgia will be a problem, right? At Missouri could be tricky. At South Carolina could be tricky. At Auburn could be tricky, but the bottom line is they're going to be a favorite in every game but one probably this year. Maybe 2 if Auburn turns out to be the little darling that everyone thinks they might be this year.
I mean, could be. I think that South Carolina game is the one I'd circle because if they go into that game and let's just say they lose to Georgia, right? They get into South Carolina and what happens there? I mean, everybody's got what's his name off from South Carolina as a top leader to win the Heisman this year.
Yep, quarterback.
Yeah, Sellers.
Yep.
So I think that's kind of the game I circle with Alabama. We're gonna know by then if I don't know if they get by Georgia or not. I actually think they can, but if they don't and they get to South Carolina and South Carolina is anything like we expect they may be, it's in South Carolina. That could be their second loss, and that could be you. Hey, look, you could still win the bet if you place the over 9.5 wins. I just wonder what that does to them the rest of the year. They've got LSU, they've got Auburn. I don't know.
The 9.5 is telling to me because, again, you'd have to lose 3, and you're favored in all but at Georgia, most likely. So you would have to lose between Missouri, possibly, which they're still going to be probably a double-digit favorite there, Jimmy. But between Missouri at South Carolina, LSU at home, and Auburn, you'd have to drop 3 of the 4 if you get by Florida State. So the schedule to me sets up pretty well for this team. I would probably lean to the over, but I'm not going to bet it because I'm going to be rooting against them because I like teams like LSU and I'll be rooting for them.
Yeah, I would avoid it as well. Like I said, I think I struggle with this because if you look at the SEC, which we're going to obviously continue to talk about, but there's so many teams that have an 8.5 or 9.5 win total, and they're
Yep.
playing them even though we know they're going to be favorites. So like only a certain amount of things can be true, right? If you're betting this up, you can't bet everybody over because some of them are going to lose. So I would avoid. It wouldn't shock me if they lost one game. They're going to lose one. They're not think they're going undefeated. Would it shock me if they only lost one? No.
Right.
But it also wouldn't shock me if they lost 4 or 5. Right. So I'm going to avoid.
All right. Next up is Arkansas, projected 13th in the conference. They're returning 7 on offense, 6 on D. Quarterback's coming back. Sam Pittman in his 6th year. They're the definition of mediocre usually. 7-6 last year straight up. They were 8-5 against the spread, so they were kind to the gambling community. This schedule is an absolute bear. They start out with a couple very obviously winnable games, 2 cupcakes, but then they go to Ole Miss. They're going to have to go to Memphis, who is a good team. Arkansas is going to be favored on the road, and I'll tell you right now, on September 20th, that could be a trap game for a lot of people who are like, Arkansas, they'll be going the money line parlays, they'll be doing the teasers, Jimmy. If that line is Arkansas 5-6 at Memphis, I love Memphis. They get Notre Dame at home. Good luck. At Tennessee, A&M, Auburn at home. A winnable game with Mississippi State, but then they go to LSU, to Texas, and end at home against Missouri. To me, this schedule just screams good luck. And I am under 5.5 for sure with this team. If they go 5-7, based on this schedule, they probably had a decent year.
Yeah, I think they had a good offense last year. Their defense was bad, right? So the win total's low. They're not returning a ton of starters on the defense side of the ball. So can the defense step up at all? And if they can't, like the Bengals, are they going to have to win shootouts? Now, Bobby Petrino, their offensive coordinator, they're betting on this kid Taylor Green, to really take another step in his offense. They won a bowl game last year, 7-6. The only thing I always say about this, like, because we're not boots on the ground and listening to Arkansas Razorbacks radio on a consistent basis, right? We get the information that comes our way and we try to digest it. When the defense was really bad last year and they're not returning a bunch of people, I don't know that that's a bad thing, right? Like, they weren't any good. Maybe they have more talent and the quarterback's taking another step. I'm with you because of the schedule difficulty. But again, this is an avoid for me to think that something couldn't jump out, returning a quarterback by Petrino. Like, I don't know. That's my take. Those things make me nervous. So you're right. The schedule makes me shout, yeah, go under 5.5 based on that. But I would just avoid rather than be wrong on this one.
Yeah, look, 28 points a game is what they almost averaged last year on offense. The problem is they were giving up 27 on defense. But when you really dive in, a lot of those points was weighted with these out-of-conference games that they put up a ton. So in SEC play, the offense just didn't live up to what they needed to do to win games. So, again, I'm under here. We'll see if the offense takes a step forward, but in my opinion, I don't think they will. Auburn, next up, Hugh Freeze, 3rd year. They were 5-7 last year, 6-6 against the spread. They're projected 11th in the conference, returning 14. They get 8 on offense, 6 back on defense. There are people out there that are expecting this team to maybe have a nice turnaround this year and maybe be the surprise team out of the SEC. I look at their schedule. It's tough, but not as tough as some others. They start at Baylor, Ball State, South Alabama at home. They go to Oklahoma, to A&M. That'll be a tough game probably. Georgia at home. They get Missouri at home. go to Arkansas, which we just talked about. They're not very good. Kentucky at home. Kentucky's not a very good team. Very winnable game against Vanderbilt. I'd love to meet who puts this schedule together because I don't know how on November 22nd you get Mercer, but they do. And then they get Bama at home in the Iron Bowl, which we know what happens in that game every year. So the win total being right at 8, you can find it 7.5 at some places. I think they can get to 8. I think they can go 8-4, and maybe do they surprise and go 9-3 and sneak into the college playoff? They could. I mean, they're 4-1 to get into the college playoff. I don't hate it.
Yeah, it's the Missouri game, I think, is the one that's going to make or break this. We talked to Dan a while back. He thinks the Mizzou, which we'll get to, of course, could be the under. But I think that's the one that I'm looking at. I would think Hugh Freeze has got to be under some fire if he doesn't get this thing right this year. Yeah, I mean, I would probably go under.
All right, we're split here. Jimmy under 8. Greg says if you can find it at 7.5. He likes the over. Maybe Jimmy gets a push on the 8. All right, here's another team that started turning it around at the end of last year, picked right in the middle of the pack, and that's the Florida Gators. Napier finally getting some of his players and his system implemented. He's in his 4th season. Returning 15, 8, including the quarterback, who had a decent season last year, 7 on defense. All right, they have what they're calling the toughest schedule in the nation this year, Jimmy, and they're getting predicted under 7.5 wins at a lot of places. So I'm going to break down their schedule. They get some team I've never even heard of, LIU Post. Nice work there, Billy, getting them on the schedule to go first. That would be a good 70-point favorite there.
How much did they pay LIU Post to play this game?
$1 million at least, maybe 2 to come into the swamp and just take a pounding of all poundings.
Yeah.
South Florida, they get next at home. So they should get 2 games to build the confidence. At LSU will be tough. At Miami will be tough. So those are two tough games. And then they get Texas at home, at A&M, Mississippi State at home, Georgia in the neutral game that they play every year, at Kentucky, at Ole Miss, Tennessee home, Florida State home. This schedule is now that I'm looking at it, this is a tough schedule. They hammered Florida here with the schedule. They are, if I'm trying to predict this out real quick, 1, 2, 3, 4 small favorite. They're going to be favored in 5 games and a small favorite in another one. So 6 games will be a favorite. 6 they're going to be a dog, and a couple they'll be a big dog. Well, not big, but they'll be 6-7 point dog in a few of these. What do you think? You think you're under here?
I like the under. The quarterback, Lagway, he's got a shoulder injury he's been dealing with all spring, and he wasn't that great last year. I know he came in relief. He didn't play the whole season, but he threw 12 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. I think Bailey Napier's over his head in the SEC go under, and I think you'll see a revamped lineup.
The quarterback played well down the stretch, Jimmy. He played well. He started turning it around. He got the offense running the right way. They were like literally running the right way. They were running the ball a little better. He was making throws when he needed to. But, they're 4-1 to make the playoff, and I think Auburn has a much better chance at 4-1, so I wouldn't take 4-1. I think they're 18-1 to win the conference and 40-1 to win the Natty for a reason. This schedule is a pain in the ass. If they're really, really good, Jimmy, 8-4 would be like a phenomenal year against this schedule.
So because of all of that, and you're right, the kid did play a good stretch, but he's going into sophomore season and he hasn't been throwing much, right? Where that's the guy that needs reps in the preseason.
Fair.
So it does concern me a little bit. I also don't like Florida from my time in Florida. I'm trying to put a realistic bet in here, knowing that I will bet under on Florida and hope that that's the truth. But I do think, like you said, like with this schedule, they could be 2-4 after 6 games. Like there's a world that exists, and then who knows what happens to the morale around there, and potentially a lame duck coach and everything else.
I don't think he's a lame duck coach. I really don't. But here's what I'll say: if they go 8-4, he had a hell of a year. If he goes 9-3, he's coach of the year. That's how hard to schedule.
That would be impressive.
All right, but for me at 7.5, I'm going to take a pass because I can't. I don't have a feel one way or another as of right now, and most of that's based on how they finish the year. If they ride that momentum, maybe they do go 8-4, 9-3, and we're sitting here going, "Wow, Florida was really underrated coming into this year." Here's a team that might be overrated. Pick third national in the power rankings, second in the conference, and that's Kirby Smart's Georgia Bulldogs, 11-3 last year. They were atrocious, Jimmy, against the spread last year, 4-10. They're returning 11, 5 on offense, 6 on D. As we know, the quarterback not back this year. I look at their schedule, and again, Georgia, things always seem to break the right way for this team. It's not terrible. They start with a big challenge in Marshall. Will there be a 40-point favorite probably? And then they're like, hey, let's back it up with a real bear against Austin P. And there'll be a 90-point favorite there. All right. Then they go to Tennessee. Here's the first challenging game of the year, in my opinion. I get it. People are going to say, but wait, at Tennessee. You're right. At Tennessee, not an easy place to play. Could get trapped. They get a week off, and then they get Bama at home. Only Georgia could set up a schedule that great where they get a week to prepare for Bama, right? That's just a Kirby Smart just doing the right things. They play Bama at home. They'll be a favorite. Then they get Kentucky. They go to Auburn. They get Ole Miss at home, Florida in that neutral game, at Mississippi State, Texas at home, and then again, another funny one. Maybe this is an SEC thing that I just never caught on to, but they said, hey, before we have our Thanksgiving Day meal, let's beat the living shit out of Charlotte for a little while. And they're a 45-point favorite there, probably, if not bigger. And then they get Georgia Tech in their rivalry game right after Thanksgiving. 9.5 should not be too hard here. I think they probably do go 10-2 because that's what Georgia does. So I would take the over here, and I'll chalk it up to a nice schedule that breaks their way because the only games I'm looking here going, ooh, Texas and Bama, but they get them both at home.
Yeah, and even if you took Texas, Bama, Tennessee, Auburn, and Florida, they're going to go 3-2 in those games, absolute worst case scenario, and nothing else are you worried about, right? They end with Georgia Tech, right? They throw Kentucky in there. Mississippi State's not going to give them a problem. I didn't even know Austin P had a football program until we looked at this. I'd known from deep bets in the NCAA about basketball, but I didn't realize they had a football program. Yeah, so I would take the over here. It's a big number, but those are the only 5 games you even have to watch, and they go 3-2 when you hit. I think it's a great play.
I agree. I think you got to slam the Georgia over, and remember, Austin P can't do it alone, Jimmy. All right,
They can't do it at all.
Can't. Well, it was a play there on the person, Austin P. Can't do it alone. Yeah, you got me. Mark Stoops, 13th year at Kentucky. God bless you. I don't know how you made it 13 there. Coming off a 4-8 year, which they had a good year in 23, so a big down year last year. 7-5 against the spread, returning 12. Win total is 4.5. And Jimmy, I don't even know if they get there. I'm not going to spend too much time on Kentucky. I wouldn't play the total, but I certainly wouldn't bet the over. That's kind of where I'll leave it. And a lot of it, again, is based on the schedule. The schedule is just not very kind to the Kentucky Wildcats this year.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is if you do bet the over, by the 13th of September when they play Eastern Michigan, if they lose that game, you can at least not worry about your money because it's gone. So the suspense is over.
Jimmy gives you a great point there. He really does. Because, yeah, that's exactly what you can do. You can rip that ticket right up. All right. Next team on the docket, and I got a soft place for them in my heart, as you know. I don't for the coach, but I do for the team. Brian Kelly in his 4th attempt to maybe win a first game. God damn it. Greg is 0-3 in those games, just in case you're wondering what my trend is. I'm 0-3, and obviously 0-3 against the spread. He'll get my pick next week, and guess what? We'll be on him again. 9-4 last year straight up, and Brian Kelly doing Brian Kelly things, 5-8 against the spread. He's bringing back 16, 8-8, and he's getting his quarterback back, which no one knew if he was coming back. There were rumors he might have wound up at Auburn, but nope, he chose to stay. So Nussmeier is back. He could have a shot at the Heisman. Strength of schedule, they're calling it the 7th toughest in the land. They are projected 5th in the conference. They are a top 10 national power ranked team. At Clemson is where we're going to start that week 1. There'll be a dog, and this is going to be the one where he pulls the upset, Jimmy. He was favored in the other ones. Now he's going to come in, and Brian Kelly's going to win as a dog. And then they get Louisiana Tech. Florida at home, Southeastern Louisiana. At Ole Miss, where they're projected a small dog. So that could be a pivotal game. South Carolina at home, Vandy at home, A&M at home. They go to Bama, where there'll be a dog as always. Arkansas at home. And then, yeah, this has to be an SEC thing. It's got to be, Jimmy. Because Western Kentucky comes for beating on November 20th. Is November 22nd like SEC beating day? It's got to be a thing.
Yeah, before the big game when they go play a rival or somebody decent. They've got Oklahoma to end the year. They must, let's get one last easy one in. We'll start.
Win total is 8.5. Jimmy, this could surprise you. Hammer the over. Off to you.
Not surprising at all. Look, they have 2 returning receivers. Nussmeier stayed at school. He's a good quarterback. Like you said, he could potentially be in the Heisman Trophy conversation at some point. If Brian Kelly can't put this together, he's got to go find a new accent from a new part of the country he can fake and get out of LSU.
Yeah, it's probably the good way to put it. I'm going over 8.5. Jimmy says over 8.5. We're going to slam it. All right. Mississippi State Bulldogs, they're projected last. Their schedule, not fun. Win total, 3.5. And I wouldn't hate you for betting the under because they're going to be favored in 2 games in Southern Miss on the 30th, week 1. Could be one of my upset specials of the week. And then, you know what? I'm sorry. I'll take it back. They're going to be favored in 3 because they get Northern Illinois, too, at home. They get Alcorn State, Northern Illinois, and at Southern Miss, they'll probably be favorites in. Every conference game, they're going to be a dog. They're going to be getting tons of points in the Egg Bowl, which, Jimmy, do you know the Egg Bowl, or I got to fill you in?
The Ole Miss, right?
Yes, that's the Egg Bowl. Very good, Jimmy. All right. They do not get to beat up on anyone on the 22nd, which is kind of funny. They said some teams we're going to let you get an easy win, but not for Mississippi State. No game on the 22nd, which is basically what the other teams are doing. See what I did there? All right. I'm not betting this either way, but I don't know if I can, with confidence, say they're going to win 4 games.
The best stat here is that the question of do we have too few conferences is now concluded because we have multiple Bulldogs in the same division here to go along with Georgia. Now we don't even have enough team names to go around. These conferences have grown so big. So when the Bulldogs take on the Bulldogs, should they make it, should that ever come to fruition, I'll be on Georgia every time. But no, it's not even worth talking about. Unless Dak Prescott walks back through those doors, gets a 5th-year play, they're done for.
All right, it's time for Dan's preview. I don't think he's going to love it. Missouri Tigers, 10-3 last year, 9-4 against the spread. They're bringing back 15, 6 on offense, 9 on defense. They have the 29th toughest schedule in the country, power ranking of 27th nationally. Their win total is set at 7 at most places, a solid 7. A lot of times you can buy down or buy up the half and get juiced either way. I look at their schedule. Central Arkansas should be a win. You know we're taking them against Kansas. Laugh at them. They'll be a big favorite. South Carolina's going to be tricky at home. UMass, winner, very winnable, obviously. Bama at home is going to be a problem. At Auburn could be a problem. At Vandy could be a problem. A&M at home could be a problem. Mississippi State should be winnable. At Oklahoma could be an issue. The whole win total could come down to that last game at Arkansas, in my opinion. If I'm counting this out, they should start the year 4-2. Is that fair? Is that what you get them at?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3. They could look. There's a chance they go 5-1 if they're legit, but I would tell you 4-2. Like I said, I think they've got South Carolina, like I said, at home. That's one they could pull off. I don't think they will.
I'm with you.
So no, I think this is probably an underplay. We did this with Dan for fun. The show he joined us, and there was a really good number they put out there. For some reason at the time I thought it was 7.5, and now it's up to 7. That tells me something.
Yeah, if you can find 7.5, I say take the under. If it's sitting at 7, pass. But if you can find 7.5, take the under.
Yeah,
All
I'd
right.
agree with that. They don't have a full-fledged starter. They've got a couple of transfers. I mean, anytime you've got a transfer and it's not somebody that you were overly impressed with the year before, it's like an NFL team signing two backup quarterbacks, then that they have a quarterback competition. Like I just don't buy it. So I'm out on Mizzou.
Where are you on Oklahoma? Bringing back 15-7 offense, 8 defense, coming off that 6-7 year, 6-6 against the spread. They are ranked right in the middle of the conference. Nationally, power ranking actually is 16th. They have a very tough schedule. I lean under 7.5 here because I think our boys in Michigan are going to go kick them right in the head on September 6th.
I hope you're right. I would lead under as well. There's actually a lot of games that should be pretty good games, right? The Auburn should be a pretty good game.
Ole
South
Miss.
Carolina should be a good, yeah. Ole Miss. They end at LSU. That could be a good game, right? That's going to be the one that decides if our LSU hits or doesn't. Let's see what direction these teams are going. But if we believe LSU will hit, back to my original argument, these teams you can't take the over on all of them. I would probably avoid, but if I had to make a play, I'd go under. Which seems wild that we're betting under on the Sooners after coming off a bad year. I mean, in my mind anyway, Oklahoma's always a top tier team, and last year they weren't. I would expect them to bounce back, but I wouldn't bet my money on it.
So here's the interesting team, I believe, this year out of the SEC, and that's Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin back for his 6th year, coming off 10-3, 8-5 against the spread. Jackson Dart gone. Win total 8.5. Jimmy, schedule's not terrible. 30th in the nation. I love the over. That quarterback, Austin Simmons, redshirt freshman last year, I think he showed us all we needed to know when he came in against Georgia when Jackson Dart was briefly hurt and put him on that TD drive. This kid could be the next great quarterback out of Ole Miss. And because of that, I love the over. You look at this schedule, Georgia State should be a win. Kentucky should be a win. Arkansas at home, win. Tulane, win. LSU at home could be a coin flip. Washington State at home, win. At Georgia, tough game. They got them last year. They could do it again. At Oklahoma, should be a win. South Carolina at home should be a win. They decided to have that SEC beatdown day instead of the 22nd. They're going to do it on the 8th, and they invited in the Citadel for a few million to take a beating. Then they get Florida at home, and they end at the Egg Bowl. I love the over. There's no way this team isn't winning 9 games.
Yeah, I do as well. I mean, they're not going to blow it up offensively like they did a year ago. Two of their better receivers are in the NFL now. They still do have a solid running game. What's the kid's name? They've got he's a senior this year. But anyway, they've got Logan Diggs. They've got a good running back returning. And like you said, this kid's big, and Lane Kiffin's proven to be a weirdo and a good coach. So hopefully,
Over plus 180 to make the playoffs. I'd bet both of them.
I'm in. I think it happens. I agree.
All right, it's time for some Beamer Ball 2.0. South Carolina, Shane Beamer back for his 5th year, 9-4 last year, 9-4 against the spread. They were kind of the surprise team. Nationally, right now, they're power ranked 17th. Believe it or not, in the conference, they are power ranked 10th. 7.5 is the win total. I think, unfortunately, due to this schedule, Jimmy, and the fact that they are becoming the sexy pick, I'm going to be the contrarian and say I love the under 7.5. Here's why. After you get past, I don't know, Kentucky, let's look at this. Yeah, after you get past Kentucky, look at this schedule. And if they win out, Missouri, they're going to be a dog. No, they might be a small favorite on the road against Missouri. And let's say they get Missouri, and they're 5-0. Then they go to LSU, Oklahoma at home, Bama at home, to Ole Miss, to A&M, a little break with that funny 20-second game, Coastal Carolina, and then they get Clemson. Could be tough to get to get to 8 here because it's 7.5. I think this has 7-5 written all over it. 8-4 would be a great year. He goes 9-3 or 10-2, then this team was severely underrated when we came in and looked at them. Then they should have been power ranked a lot higher than 17. But for my money, and I'm going to say I'm not betting it, but I would lean to the under. I think 7-5 is probably where this team lands.
I'm going to go over. I'm not going to make that, but if I had to, I'm going to go over. I like Sellers. I think if he's a real Heisman candidate, he's as good as everybody says. He should be able to elevate a couple of those really those spreads that are we think are going to be super close. The Missouri game, the Oklahoma game, the Clemson game. And if he can do that, I think they can get it done. So I'm gonna bet on him. I'm gonna say this kid's the real deal, and let's get the 8 wins.
All right, Tennessee Volunteers. Heupel back in his 5th year. They were 10-3 last year, 7-6 against the spread. They're only returning 12, 4 on offense, but 8 on defense, and their defense was pretty good last year. Win total is 8.5, pretty high, but the schedule is not crazy. They get the Cuse, Eastern Tennessee, then they get Georgia at home, UAB at Mississippi State, Arkansas at home, then they go to Bama, but they get Kentucky at home. Sorry, they go to Kentucky, they get Oklahoma at home, New Mexico State at home, they go to Florida, and they get Vandy. They're going to be favored in a lot of these games. Can they go 9-3? I lean to the over here, believe it or not, just because I'm gonna think that defense, which was fantastic last year, only giving up 12.9 points a game, 17.2 points a game, could be reloaded and ready to go again. They were ranked 8th in the country last year on defense.
Yeah, I might lean with you. I mean, again, it comes down to that Florida game, right? They've got to win the games that are predicted to be close games. They've got to win, obviously, the games they're supposed to win. But if they can get that game against Florida, I think it happens. Unlike what I said earlier about the quarterbacks transferring, and I suppose I'm already against my own argument because there was Joe Burrow that transferred and made it, but there's so many transfers and there's so many college teams that it still doesn't prove it. They got this kid that transferred from Appalachian State that really can throw the ball around the field. Of course, he didn't play quite as high of competition, but let's see what he can do. Dylan Sampson got drafted by my Cleveland Browns, so they're replacing the running back. But if you look at their backup stats, he didn't have a lot of work, but he had a really nice average. He averaged over 6 yards a carry. They've got a quarterback. They've got a running back. They had a good defense. I mean, why not, right?
No, I'm with you. All right, let's skip here because we'll end with one of the big contenders. So let's skip to A&M for a minute. They're bringing back 15, 8 on offense, 7 on defense, including the quarterback. They're picked 6th in the conference, 12th nationally in the power rankings. They have a pretty tough schedule. Win total 8.5. When you look at them, you got Texas San Antonio coming in, then Utah State, but then they go to Notre Dame. Then they get a nice little run at home. They get Auburn, Mississippi State, and Florida. Then they go on the road 3 times, and they go to Arkansas, to LSU, at Missouri, come back home for South Carolina. The 22nd, they get the pound up on Samford, and the 28th, they end at Texas. That's going to be the game to me that decides what happens with this A&M team. Can they get to 9 wins, Jimmy, or do you think they sit 8-4? What's your thoughts here?
I would go under. They started the year off 7-1 last year. They've got an awesome offensive line, and they've got a really good running game. Quarterback plays average at best. They played 2 different QBs last year. But what happened was their stud running back got hurt. They weren't able to fill it in. They end up 8-5. So he's a senior now. Sure, he wants to come back, finish the year proper. So if everybody stays healthy, I think that it's setting up for them to certainly go over. But it didn't happen before, and I certainly hope he does. But I would avoid because I think he stays healthy. They go over. Doesn't, it's going to be problematic.
Yeah. So here's how I evaluate their schedule. I think at Texas, at LSU, and at Notre Dame are probably 3 losses. I just think those teams are just all a lot better. And I don't know if they can go undefeated at home with Auburn, Florida, South Carolina, all going to be very competitive games. They would have to win all 3 or pull one of those upsets on the road. So I think this total is a good total. 8.5, I think, is perfect number. Well done by the odds makers. But this is one where I am going to bet the under.
I like it. I will avoid. I don't, like I said, I don't blame.
All right. Vandy, nice story here with the quarterback. Last year, they beat Bama. They're bringing back 17, 9 on offense, 8 on defense. Coming off 7-6, 9-4 against the spread. So they were a great team to bet on because they kept getting so many points and they kept playing all these close games. I got nothing really here. I'm going to avoid this team at all costs. The win total is only 5.5. I think it's 5.5 for a reason. I think a lot of people are going to bet the over because they were such a nice story last year. But because they're another one of these sexy teams, I don't like how they get South Carolina, LSU, Bama, Auburn, Texas, and at Tennessee. So for me, 5.5 is a great total. I'm not going to bet it either way.
Yeah, the quarterback's like 33 years old. I think that actually does bode well for them if you were going to go with him. That's why I would do it. He's been playing college football since pre-COVID and somehow has sued the NFL for an additional year of eligibility this year. So good for him. If you were going to bet him, that's the reason I would do it. You've got a mature quarterback that's proven that he can. I will avoid the historic Vanderbilt Football Club this year and just avoid the bet in general.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the Texas Longhorns to end out the show. Power rank number 1 in the conference, number 1 nationally. We know who the quarterback is. We know the coach is. 13-3 last year, 8-8 against the spread. They're returning only 11, 4 on offense, 7 on D. Arch is taking over. You look at the schedule, it's not that easy. It's 12th toughest in the nation. Win total 9.5. A lot of the sharps are saying under. Not me. I like the over. Hook 'em.
I
At
mean,
Ohio State, win. You hear that, Ohio State fans? Win. San Jose State, win, obviously. UTEP, win. Sam Houston, win. Florida, win. Oklahoma, win. At Kentucky, win. At Mississippi State, win. At Vandy, win. Georgia will be their toughest game on the schedule. That's right. I said Georgia, not Ohio State. Arkansas, win. A&M, win. At worst, this team is losing 2 games. At worst, they're losing 2. I'm hammering the over here. I think they're going to go 11-1. I don't think they'll run the table. And then, Jimmy, here's what's going to happen. They're going to get into the playoffs like they always do, and they're going to be a factory of sadness, which is what they are every year, and their team will get to probably the Final Four, and fans will all be sitting there going, I can't believe we lost again. That's what Texas does.
so yeah, I agree with you on the over. I think I hope you're right about the Ohio State game and they go kick their ass.
Win.
Ohio State or Georgia, worst case, they split those. Worst case scenario. And that means that one of the other games that could be dicey, maybe the A&M game, maybe the Florida game if they're any good, they could also lose one and the bet would still hit. And I don't think they will. I think 11-1's the number. Right. So I would hammer the over. I have no problem with it. I think it's a gift of a line.
All right. We're going to do a college futures show right before the season kicks off. But I'll give my thoughts here. I'll give an official pick in that show. For the conference winner, I am leaning, no surprise here, towards LSU because I like the 7-1 number. Any thoughts there yet? Or we'll wait to hear yours on the college football.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to eat chalk on this. I think we just made a really, really good argument for Texas, right? That's the issue. But I do want to try to find some value in there. I'm going to think it through, see what I feel really good about. But again, the argument we just made just screams Texas, right? It's tough to see them. I think 11-1 is very, very, very realistic for them. I think if they go 11-1, they're going to win the conference. And it's tough to talk yourself out of that. I mean, it's still plus 270. It's not like it's terrible value there.
Yeah. When we drop the show Thursday, the 28th at night, we'll probably put that out later at night. We will give our college futures. We'll give you a conference winner pick from both of us. We'll give you our playoff teams that we love, our long shots. We'll give you all that and a Heisman. So look forward to that show.
Fighting Jay Cutler's at 200-1.
They will not be getting a play. All right, we appreciate you tuning in to another episode. Again, if you like what you heard, hit that like, follow, subscribe button for us, and please send the show to a friend. Follow us on X and Instagram at WhoYouGot33. Keep trolling us. We love that too, Ohio State fans.
Bring it on.
You can also follow us at our friends show over at YouTube, KC Sports Authority. Check them out. They got great content. And again, maybe they will disagree with our Missouri win total, and they'll give you some confidence then. So check out Keegan and his crew over there. And as always, we're going to throw it to Jimmy for any final words.
We're not far from week 0. We're all just over 2 weeks away from kickoff. It's getting good.
It's getting good. Everyone get ready. We'll be putting out our first college football picks and 6 edition where we'll give you all our picks for week 0. It won't be a long YouTube short because there's only 5 or 6 games, but we're going to put that out for you Thursday night along with a second episode. And let's bet some futures. Let's get ready to make some money this college football and NFL season. And remember, it's never under till it's over.